But there's people who don't like that. Like, they don't like when you're just comfortable. They That's evil spirited. I don't even understand how people could be like that. Hey friend, welcome to Moments with Muddy. This is a safe space for women who are going through different healing journeys and are really looking to become the best woman that they are destined to be. I just turned 31 last month, and I remember this time last year when I was 30 and I was down in the dumps. I was depressed. I was in bed all day. I was crying. And I was just sitting and thinking about how I totally feel like I wasted my 20s. I feel like there's so much more that I could have done in my 20s to make me feel like I'm living a more fulfilled life. And I noticed that there's a lot of women who feel that way when they're in their early 30s. They feel like they are out of their prime and there's just so much they could have done, but they didn't allow themselves the time to do it because they got married, they had kids, they were chasing careers, they were chasing education, and they just feel like stuck. They feel like half their life is over and this is it. Thankfully, I'm now in a better space mentally. And leading up to my 30th birthday, I was actually trying my best to be optimistic. And I created like a little series on TikTok where I was sharing 20 things that I learned in my 20s. And I did it every day for 20 days leading up to my 30th birthday. And I decided to compile all of those things and put it in one video, obviously. Probably going to be two parts because it is a little long. So this is going to be 20 things I learned in my 20s, part one. Now, all of these lessons I still can apply today where I'm feeling like I'm starting over in my 30s, like I'm really looking forward to living in my purpose. And these are the lessons that are going to guide me throughout that process to really creating the life that I want to live and that I feel like I deserve. So let's get into the lessons. Okay, the first lesson that I learned in my 20s is that nothing in this life happens by accident. Everything happens for a reason. And not only does everything happen for a reason, you may not know the reason today, you may not know the reason next week or next month, but no matter how long it takes, you're going to find out why things happen to you. I was always the kind of person who I got very anxious because I needed to know what the next steps were and I needed to know how exactly something was going to unfold. But when something didn't work out, like my world was crushed. Like it was like, how? Because I made sure and I made sure. And it always be like within a couple months that I realized, okay, that wasn't destined for me. This is what's destined for me. That wasn't supposed to happen that way. If it happened that way, it probably wouldn't have been the best thing for me. So understand that nothing happens by accident. Everything happens for a reason, and you will find out why no matter what. The second lesson that I learned in my 20s is there comes a point where you need to take responsibility over your own healing. I developed this concept where it's like you're not responsible for your trauma, right? The trauma that was put on you by external factors, be it a parent, be it someone who took advantage of you, be it the environment you grew up in, be it your neighborhood, your financial status. Like those are things that are external that has left a traumatic situation with you. But after a while, you have to get out of that rumification. I think that's the word for like constantly reviewing your trauma and constantly going over what happened to you, and you have to take accountability and start healing, like start overcoming your trauma. No one's going to come and save you. No one's going to figure it out for you. You, in one way or another, are alone in this process to becoming a better person. So you need to take accountability, stop blaming, stop pointing fingers. Yes, they are responsible, but there comes a time where you have to look into yourself and say, I'm ready to move on and move on. Take responsibility over your healing. The next lesson that I learned in my 20s is to stop holding on to grudges. Like, I'm not someone that I can say I necessarily hold grudges, but I am the kind of person that once I know who you are, like, I deal with you accordingly. With that being said, like, sometimes matching energy takes too much energy. Like, sometimes you just got to know how to deal with people and just continue to be yourself and just kind of pack them in a box and not even think about them. Like, don't say, when I see her, I'm not going to do this. When I see him, I'm not going to talk to him. Like, it takes too much energy. Like, focus on yourself. Let go of those like negative feelings that you have for somebody, even if it's warranted. Like, even if they deserve those feelings, like, don't harbor it. Like, let it go, be free, and just like move on from it, because it takes a lot out of you and it's draining. And I swear, when you stop doing that, you're gonna feel so much lighter. The next lesson that I learned in my 20s, I wish I did this more. I wish I was more graceful with myself in my 20s. And we hear this a lot, but like it's so important to just like take it easy. Just take it easy. Be graceful with yourself. You don't have to be on overdrive all the time. I dealt with that a lot in my 20s where I had like a 5 year, 10 year, 15, 20 year plan, and I refused to take breaks and I refused to like relax. I feel like that's why now I still have a problem with like feeling okay when I need rest. Like we're human, we need rest, but those are the basic things that we need, and it's difficult for us to do it because we don't give ourselves grace. We don't give ourselves the space to just chill out. So definitely, like if you happen to be watching this and you're in your 20s, be graceful with yourself. Like take it easy, slow down. It's a marathon. It's not a race. You will get it all together. Just chill out. The next lesson that I learned in my 20s is to give grace to people when they do not show up for you the way you need them to show up for you. And the reason why I say that is like, I'm not saying like keep those people around. Like if they can't show up for you the way you need them to, like chuck deuces, you can cut them off. That's fine. But if they do not show up for you, not 9 times out of 10, but sometimes you have a situation where someone really does want to show up for you, but they don't have the tools to do it. They don't know how to do it. They don't know what you need, or they are also going through stuff too, and they cannot show up for you that way. So, like, learn to be graceful with people, communicate your needs, like, what is it that you need, and also maybe you'll be able to have what they need communicated to you, and then you could be able to show up for each other. But if someone is not so quick to show up for you, like be graceful with them. Sometimes it don't even have anything to do with you sometimes it's just them not being equipped or going through so much that don't have they don't have what it takes to show up for you. So definitely try to be graceful with people. The next lesson that I learned in my 20s is to be cautious of people who try to be friends with you, but they're already friends with like everybody. Like they get along with everybody. Like, bruh, you have to be careful of people like that because 9 times out of 10, them wanting to be your friend, it's not really a genuine experience. They want to be liked by everybody. They want to be friends with everybody. They want to be everybody's bestie. They want to be everybody's sister. And that person usually comes off as disingenuine, or that person might even be somebody who they want to get close to you because there's something they want to know about you. And to even double back on that, be careful if they are friends with everyone, but they gossip about everyone too. Because if someone else is the topic when you guys are sitting around, just know when she goes sit with somebody else or he goes sit with somebody else, you're going to be the topic over there too. So be very cautious of someone who tries to spread themselves among everybody. You never get their true self. You never really know what their intentions are. So you want to definitely play by ear and be cautious. You don't have to be mean and like push them away, but definitely like keep your eye on that person. The next lesson that I learned in my 20s is to not feel guilty for having groups of friends or friends for different reasons. I think that when we were younger and we didn't really have that much going on, like you have your one group of friends that you probably go to school with, hang out with after school, be on the phone with them after school, and it's like you just have the same friends for like the same things, and it's pretty streamlined. As you get older and you take on new roles, and the roles that you take on, some of your friends may not be taking on those same roles, you're going to need friends for different purposes. For example, if there's a group of five, one is married with children as a stay-at-home mom, one is a career woman, one is going back to school, one is into arts and music, and one is like married to a wealthy man or something like that. You guys are all in different lanes, so to speak. No lane is better than the other, but you guys have just grown into different roles. So obviously, the one who is probably the stay-at-home mom, if she's overwhelmed about like how to juggle her home life, she's probably not going to go to her friend who's still in school because their realities are different. Now, these groups of friends can go out to brunch. These groups of friends can have like FaceTime dates when somebody's going through distress. But it's okay to have different groups for different things and turn to different people for different things. And I feel like once you become comfortable with that fact, you don't feel so guilty for turning to one friend versus the other. You don't have to try to spread yourself too thin through friendship because the idea and concept of friendship changes as you get older anyway. But like, don't feel guilty if you have like one group that you go to parties with and another group that you go to brunch with and another group that you talk about deep life concepts with and you have another group that you pray with. Like, Ideal world, we will want everybody to be in the same group, but if that's not the case, that's okay. And I feel like once you adopt that, you're able to respect everybody in their respective lane. Like you don't cross boundaries, and you also don't overwhelm someone with this level of responsibility you have over them to be there for you. The next lesson that I learned in my 20s is that you need people. As much as a lot of people try to go in this life being, I don't need nobody, I don't need friends, I can't connect with people, nobody shows up for me. Yeah, that's fine. But you need people. You can't go through this life alone. That was a hard lesson for me to learn because I was very independent at a very young age. There's a lot of responsibilities I took over myself at a very young age. And like, no matter how difficult it got, I always tried to push through and do it by myself. It was very, very difficult for me to ask for help. The older I got, I learned that you could be able to do 10 different things, but you're not going to be able to do all 10 of them efficiently. So if you want to be able to get things done the right way, or you need proper guidance on something, like you need to reach out to people for it. You have to be able to have a tribe or a village of people to help you with the different things in life, so you feel less overwhelmed and you can actually get to where you want to be in life. So don't go around thinking, I don't need nobody. You need people. Next lesson that I learned in my 20s is that it's okay to outgrow people. This one was very hard for me because I tend to feel guilty when I haven't like reached out to somebody for a long time, or if I'm talking to somebody and I'm not really feeling in the conversation. I tend to feel really guilty about it, and I internalize it, and I think, okay, like I don't want to be mean, I don't want to be a butthole, like I don't want to be mean to this person. But real life is just like the concept I talked about a couple minutes ago. It's like people go into different lanes, and unfortunately for some people, when they start to go into different lanes, they start to outgrow each other. The interests are no longer the same. The roles are different, so the reality of life is different. There's people who still living in like 2005, and you here in 2024 trying to figure out 2030. So where I see it is, it's okay to outgrow people. Everybody's not gonna always have the same interests, and that's okay. It's a part of life. The next lesson that I learned in my 20s is that people could be jealous of you for the most bizarre things. Like, I dealt with this a lot in my 20s, that I would build a connection with somebody, and then out of nowhere, the energy is just funny money out of nowhere. And like when I sit and I pay attention to some of the backhanded comments that I receive, I pay attention to their responses when I have good news about myself. I pay attention to how, if I'm having a talk and I'm talking about myself, they're easily diverting the conversation away from me. I pay attention to how people act when I have people embrace me, how somebody will act when other people are embracing me and complimenting me. And I came to learn that it's really jealousy. Like, it's jealousy. And you would think that people would be jealous of you because the money you have, the bags you carry, the way you dress, your jewelry, something. Sometimes people are just jealous of the way people feel about you. And the weirdest thing for me is that people could be jealous of how content you are with what you have. I'm somebody who, I believe everything I have, God gave me. There's nothing I have today that God can't give somebody else. And there's things in my eyes, I don't have anything. Like, I feel like God has given people way more. And then I'm appreciative because I know that there's people who have way less. But there's people who don't like that. Like, they don't like when you're just comfortable. They that's evil spirited. I don't even understand how people could be like that. So definitely don't be surprised when you find that people are jealous of you or things that you don't even understand, because people just be weird, just straight weird. All right. If you want to know the rest of the lessons that I learned in my 20s, check out part 2, because it's a list of 20. So I did only 10 in this video. And make sure that you subscribe to this channel, as I'm going to keep dropping gems every single week. Everything regarding healing, self-confidence, femininity, motherhood, and just becoming the women that we are all destined to become. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.